logo. But anyway, and then the people who've also come today to help us out, 828 News Now is streaming, and Shante has been their tech person on location to help us get all of the tech ready for a live stream, and want to thank Shante. And then we have Mezzi and Z in the back who showed up today to do free cappuccino for everyone. I hope people took advantage of that. That was so nice of them. When we were here this morning at 8:30, they rolled in right behind us and said, "Hey, we're here for free coffee for your folks today." And just so that's what Asheville, I mean, how many examples of that have we seen around our community over the last almost 4 weeks now? Just another example of collaboration and people coming together. Just quickly on the agenda. This is me. I'm going to start, and then city update. Councilwoman Allman Maggie is going to do a city update for us, and then Josh Stein is here, our Attorney General. He's going to have some remarks for us. Mike Causey, our North Carolina Insurance Commissioner, is here to talk with us. And then we have some grant updates from the Chamber, from Explore Asheville, and Dogwood Health. And then just closing remarks. Hayden and I switched places today. She's going to be doing closing remarks today. And I'm just going to, before I turn it over to Maggie, I'm actually going to honor Maggie and the city council and the county for what they did. How many got to go to the community vigil? I'm going to break up just thinking about it. It was an amazing experience, and it was just right. You did such a great job. It was awesome. There wasn't one person I spoke to who was nothing short of complimentary in what it meant to them to get the community together to grieve and to talk about what happened, and it was beautiful. There were so many favorite parts. There was one that really meant a lot to me. And it was the bird, this great blue heron. And I think it's because of where I was sitting too. I was back and I was sitting on the grass. And from my vantage point, yes, the bird was going across the front like this. And like it was floating on airwaves. And I was with a neighbor and I said, that just reminds me of the River Arts District and our creative community and the arts. And it was like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. Okay, whoa. One more thing, for those of you, we have been streaming all of these, and wanted that I've recognized so many faces of those who have come before for the other two sessions, but just quickly, if you wanted to, these are both the live streams that were recorded. The financial recovery, that link will send you to YouTube where it's recorded if anybody's interested in that one. And then navigating reopening. That one was live streamed by the Downtown Association, and you'll get that through Facebook. So if anybody's interested in seeing those first two sessions, and then the third one will be, the one today will be on 828 News Now. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Maggie and have her give an update. Thank you so much.
You want a hug?
I do. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody. All right. We're like almost 30 days into this. This meeting, this is the most consistent thing I've done in the last several weeks, is be here on Thursday at 10. So before I say anything, and I'm going to be brief, I just let's do a minute, close your eyes if you're into that, and just think about what your last Thursday looked like and what it's changed, because each of those weeks, it's really looking different. And some weeks are really, really intense and some have better spots. So just give yourself a minute and reflect all right, we're a week further. What's that mean for you right now? I know for me it's not necessarily easier, but it's different. I showered in my own home today, so we can celebrate that first time. So another thing that we can celebrate, I try and find something good because there's a lot that's really bad right now, but when I'm with people, I try and find something good. The city moved $4.4 million to get out to the community on Tuesday. So it was the first comb that our staff could pull off. I mean, they're in the same boat as all of us, and they pulled off a public meeting on Tuesday, and they were able to move money around, look at all of our federal requirements. 926,000 of that is going for business recovery grants. We're working right now to find a local nonprofit partner who has experience with the federal requirements that we have on that money, but we're expecting within 2 weeks we can start getting that money out to folks like y'all. The other buckets of money are for home repair and for rent assistance. So we're working furiously to do that. This is our first comb. There will be more. We are working very hard. If the bonds pass on the ballot, we're gonna look at how our 80 million of bond money can meet the existing legal purpose, but also meet our recovery goals that we're working on too. So this is not the last time I'll share good news about us getting money out to y'all. But that's the main update I wanted to share, and to offer just a time to, if you find yourself at these 10 a.m. Thursday meetings like I have and I will, find some time where you can give yourself a minute to look back and look forward and experience all that brings up for y'all. Appreciate being here. Thanks for organizing it. Really thankful that you're here. I think the Attorney General and myself and several other councilwomen are going to the water treatment plant after this. So I'm hoping to have a video update on the latest from the water treatment plant. If you're watching the briefings, I'm not expecting a miracle today, but I'll let you know anything I know that's new. Everyone's working, I can't underscore tirelessly. These people have not had a day off. We are doing round the clock work out there. And that's the number one priority of the city, is to get us all drinking water back so we can get back to business and employees can get back to work. And so we'll let you know as soon as we know more. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Well, I am just very quickly going to turn it over to our Attorney General, Josh Stein. Thank you so much for taking time out of, I'm sure, your very busy schedule to come and talk to our business community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Boy, October in Asheville, usually the busiest, most profitable, most wonderful month. And Hurricane Helene has turned everything upside down. And I got to tell you, my hearts go out to all of you. I know you're struggling each in your own unique way. The stories that are out there in the ether about how you all have responded to this is inspiring, and it's heroic. I mean, for the water employees to be working nonstop, digging and replacing, trying to get water back as quickly as they possibly can, to first responders who were responding in rushing waters, to businesses that turned on a dime to convert profitable enterprises into a community resource center, whether it's food or clothing or accommodations. It's just nothing short of inspiring, nothing short of heroic. And I want to thank you all for exemplifying the best of what it means to be a North Carolinian, neighbor helping neighbor. And what we're here to signal is that the neighbors down in the Piedmont, the neighbors, the state, are here for you. And you are top of mind. I know when something happens and it starts to recede, you worry, like, are people going to remember? Do people even remember? Do people even know that we still don't have full running water? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. My main purpose in being here is to hear from you all. I'll give a brief update on a couple points of interest. But the main reason for my presence is I just need to learn to understand what it is that you all are going through, what it is that you need from the state to get back up on your feet. Because what you all have built here in Asheville, small business is the beating heart of this city and this region, is wonderful. I mean, you all are a national treasure, and we're so grateful in North Carolina that you are part of us. From my role as Attorney General, the primary thing I focus on when there are storms like this are scams and frauds. Our anti-predatory lending law is in effect, has been in effect since the emergency was declared. We've received more than 375 complaints. mainly groceries, hotels, gas. We're starting to see tree removal and home construction. We are investigating, we're reviewing every complaint, and we're actively investigating. We have 4 civil investigative demands out. But it doesn't need to be price gouging to be a scam, and scams are always illegal. So if you come across, if you yourselves are scammed, or if you come across people in your orbits who are, easy to file complaints. Go to the website, ncdoj.gov/complaint, or you can call 877-5-NO-SCAM if you ever have any questions. We are here to help. The main thing you all need, I know, is financial support. You're struggling, and we, with the state, are here to help. Governor Cooper issued an executive order last week dramatically extending the length of unemployment insurance benefits and increasing the amount of unemployment insurance benefits. And it was unanimously approved. Commissioner Causey and I both supported that move. The federal government, the SBA, is here. They're on the ground. They have a recovery center here in Buncombe County. I assume you all know all that, but they have programs that are available to help, whether they are the physical or economic injury disaster loan programs. A lot of businesses, I've talked with other business leaders in other parts of Western North Carolina, and they're like, we're already burdened with debt. We just can't take on more debt, particularly when we don't have revenue at the moment. So I know that that program may not be right for all of you, and the state has more nimbleness, more flexibility, and we need to be there. Governor Cooper put forward the first major the state's already done $275 million immediate response, but that was always known to be just the most immediate. Governor Cooper's presented a $3.9 billion relief package to the legislature for their consideration. Of that $3.9 billion, about $650 million is dedicated for business to help deal with the losses, but the physical and the economic losses. They're wanting to build off of the relief program that came out of the COVID recovery. So that is not, of course, law yet. The legislature has to enact it. So work with your elected officials, the legislative delegation, to encourage them to support. I have no doubt that they will. We just want to be there for you all the way that you all have been there for each other. And it's my honor to be with you, and look forward to hearing more about the discussions as the meeting proceeds. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Josh will be taking questions with Mike after Mike's presentation. So we're just going to hold those questions till that time. And so now I'm going to introduce our North Carolina Insurance Commissioner, Mike Causey. I do have a small bio for Mike sent to me from his executive assistant. So you're going to have to just hang in there for a minute. North Carolina Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey has been a small businessman, insurance agent, and insurance agency owner with 25 years in the insurance industry. He's a native of Guilford County and still lives in the same house on the Causey family farm where he grew up. Commissioner Causey learned the values of hard work growing up on the family farm. After going off to school and serving in the U.S. Army, Mike worked as a field engineer in the construction industry and then began his career in the insurance industry when he learned virtually every facet of that industry, working as an agency manager, as superintendent of agencies, and owning his own agency. I'm assuming that's all true, right? Commissioner Mike Causey enjoys serving the citizens of North Carolina as the North Carolina Department of Insurance meets the insurance and safety needs of North Carolina families and businesses. Mike, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff. She grew up in West Virginia, and so did my assistant, and I think that was a plot against me. But thank you all for being here. I know you've been through a lot. It's been an honor and privilege for me to serve as your insurance commissioner since 2017. And I just want you to know that we're here to help. We've had folks on the ground every day in Western North Carolina since the flooding started. When the night the waters were rising, we had crews of our special agents over in McDowell County, and we actually went door to door to 144 homes, evacuating people to save their life from the rising waters. And so that helped a lot. And I know that nobody in this room's ever had any problem with insurance company claims. I've already talked to several of you, but I understand what you go through. But we have had people every day. We've been in all of these counties. We've been 6 to 8 times a week in multiple counties with what we call victims assistance centers, helping people resolve issues with insurance claims. And as you all know, as a lot of you found out, homeowners policies do not cover floods, and so most people don't have flood insurance. In fact, we learned that from Hurricane Florence that hit in 2018. We had 23 counties in southeastern North Carolina underwater, and what we learned there is less than 2% of the homeowners had flood insurance. And so what we saw with the Joint Underwriters Association, they had 88,000 claims, people that lost their homes, lost everything they own, and had no insurance. And then there was that many more that you all may know the Joint Underwriters Association insures almost 70% of the homes in the 20 coastal counties. And so in the 30% that have private insurance, there was almost that many more claims that lost everything and did not have coverage. We are also partnering with the insurance companies. We've been setting up what we call insurance camps or insurance villages. We partner with Lowe's home improvement stores. We set up in their parking lots. Yesterday and today, we're in Arden, and we have the 20 major insurance companies that write business in western North Carolina on the ground with us now, with all their folks, people from all over the United States here to help people with their claims. We've been side by side with FEMA to help people file assistance claims or whatever. And next week on October 30th, I'll be in Washington, D.C. with the United States Department of Treasury, and they invited me. I decided to accept, Josh, because that's where all the money is, and they want to talk about Western North Carolina insurance claims. So hopefully we can get the federal government to do something to assist. But I do want to say I've heard from several folks about insurance companies are being difficult in the claims process. Well, I understand that. I've had a lot of personal experience with that. I remember this was over 20 years ago, my parents' home burned to the ground 5 days before Christmas in the middle of the night. They barely escaped with their lives. They lost everything. And I was in the insurance business, and it was a total nightmare. They had been with the same insurance company for 32 years, never filed a claim. And then when their house burned, you would have thought they set it on fire, because that's sort of how they were treated by the insurance company. So I had to make many trips to Charlotte, to the Department of Insurance in Raleigh, and it was 6 months. And I'm going to tell you, when you lose everything, some of you all are finding out, you have to prove to the insurance company what you own down to your socks and underwear, when you bought it, how much you paid for it. And I know it might be after the fact, but when I go on these radio shows talking to the public, my recommendation is I think it's good to have a local insurance agent, somebody you can go see and talk with in person, or pick up the phone and call, and they know who you are. But you need to talk to your agent about something called replacement value coverage. It's just a little bit more premium, but if you have replacement value coverage and you lose your home furnishings, it'll pay for brand new items regardless of the cost. If you have replacement value on your automobiles, then, for example, if your vehicle's 2 or 3 years old and it's a total loss, they use what's called actual cash value, depreciated value. So it's not, you may think it's worth a lot. You might have paid $35,000 for a vehicle 2 years ago. Today, it may only be worth $16,000 or $18,000. But if you have that replacement value policy, then you can go out and buy a brand new current year vehicle of that same type if it costs $40,000. So that is worth its weight in gold if you don't have it. And we started flood insurance classes after Florence to educate the public so we could give insurance agents, real estate agents, engineers, architects, surveyors, all continuing education credits if they go through this 4-hour flood class. And since we started doing that, we do have 25% more homeowners that have flood insurance than we had with Florence, but that's still, I think, Josh, it's less than 3%. And so we do need more people participating in the federal flood insurance program. That would help the program, and we also now have private flood insurance policies that are available. But I just want to echo what Josh Stein said about the first responders. They have worked day and night. I was at the Banner Elk Fire Department last week, and there was a whole team from Burlington Fire Department. And these guys come up and they spend usually 7 days at a time away from their home and family. We've got DOT workers that have worked around the clock. And I've never seen the outpouring of support from the public. I was in Ashe County one day at their airport, and the folks say they don't normally have a lot of air traffic up there, but that day there were 70 planes that came in and out, and the locals said that was the most traffic they'd ever seen. And there was one Learjet. And when the pilot got out, I asked the pilot where he's from, and he was from New York City, and a company in New York City loaded that Learjet with 3,000 pounds of food and supplies and clothing coming to you all in western North Carolina. So, and every pilot that flew in that day was a volunteer pilot, and everybody on the ground was a volunteer. So we've seen more volunteers, groups like Samaritan's Purse and Baptist on Mission and all kinds of churches. So we can't thank those folks enough. But my message from the Department of Insurance is sort of the same thing that General Stein said. We're here to help. And I had a fellow call me. I was happy to get the endorsement from the State Employees Association, and state employees don't hesitate to call me if they have an issue. But I had a man who was a state employee. He was a member of their association in Morganton. And he said, I hate to bother you, but I'm having a difficult time with my insurance company. And he didn't get flooded. He had trees blew down on his house. And now, this is sort of a sad situation, but it's sometimes how little people think about insurance. His wife had inherited the house they lived in 35 years ago, and they lived in the same house for 35 years. It was insured at that time for $52,000, and in 35 years, they had never raised the limit of coverage. And you got to think, well, where was the insurance agent? You know, why didn't somebody, they didn't think about it. Their house was destroyed, and they find out to rebuild is going to cost maybe 3.5 to 4 times the amount of insurance they had. So that is a huge problem. But if anybody in this room does have an issue with any claims, we've got people on the phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and all they're doing is helping people resolve disputes with their insurance claims. So thank you all for being here, and we'll take any questions or however you want to do it.
No, that's great. Yeah, I was just going to have you stay. And there's just for Q&A. I think there's a mic that we have, if you don't mind, for live streaming purposes, if you want to raise your hand with a question, and then we'll get the mic to you. And if you could just wait till we get the mic to you, that'd be great. So, and then also Josh Stein will be taking any questions that you have too. So, who has questions?
My first question was, Ashe County has an airport, but aside from that, is this thing even working?
So it's just for live streaming. So
Okay, so business interruption insurance, we have it, but it has turned out to be a comically low amount. Do you see any brightness in finding a way around that for more support for us?
Well, I've heard quite a few comments about that. It seems like whatever those benefits were very limited, and the insurance companies are using that as an excuse not to pay this or not to pay that. But we need to hear from you. We need to know the specifics. I've got my card, and my email is, you can send it directly to me. It's my name. It's mike.causey@ncdoi.gov. If you'll just send me a brief email, I'll get somebody on it right away. And what they'll do is get the specifics from you. They'll call the insurance company, and they'll see what can be done. Now, if it's covered under the policy, we can make them covered. If it's not covered under the policy, I don't think there's much we could do. Even if it goes to the Attorney General, they're going to say it's the same thing. So it's always good to know when you're sitting down with your insurance agent what's covered and what's not. And I know that's no consolation to folks that are dealing with that, but it's a grueling process that we just have to go through.
and we're hearing that this is kind of the commonality, the business interruption insurance, and especially for those of you in downtown. How many of you are dealing with or not being able to deal with the business interruption insurance not paying out?
It's a big group,
Yeah, it's really big because, you know, in downtown, we didn't have a ton of physical damage, and so, but we had no water, have no electricity, internet, and things like that, and that's not covered, is my understanding. Yeah.
Kind of along those lines, what about better regulation of the fine print and intent of policies that we're signing up for? I mean, we have business income interruption insurance and actually a large payout amount, and we're in downtown. We have a clause that talks about utility interruption, right? And we lost water. We can't operate with restaurants, cannot run a restaurant without water, cannot run a restaurant without potable water. However, we are hearing all kinds of reasons on why it doesn't pay out. You know, things like, well, the damage to the water system wasn't at your physical location, therefore the damage to the water system was due to flooding, therefore not a windstorm. We all know the windstorm caused lots of damage and also contributed to why the water system failed. But the bigger impact, not even on my business, is the fact that the coverage is supposed to cover payroll in totality. I've had to lay off every single employee almost and furlough everyone else. They are now on unemployment when I pay for this policy to cover them in these types of cases. And so my question is, what about regulation of the fine print and how these policies are being written?
And that's a good question. When I first started in the insurance business many years ago, I worked with a company out of New York. The largest in the world was Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. And one of the fellows had been around a long time. We had to go over an insurance policy, look at the face page that says what your benefits are. And he says, this is the face page. It tells you what's covered, and the rest of the policy is the fine print that takes everything away. And, you know, there's a lot of truth to that. You do have to know what's covered and what's not. But we're a rate bureau state, and the Rate Bureau was created by the legislature back in 1977, and they represent the insurance industry and create our policy forms and policies. But that's something that seems like that needs to be addressed for sure on these business continuation. And I'll defer to the Attorney General to see if his office, we get complaints about business continuation policy. I don't know if that's something your office gets or not.
We've definitely heard from it, about it, Katie, and we are gonna look into it. Whatever authority we have under the law, we will fully exercise, and we just have to see what our options are. Clearly, to give with one hand and take away with another from behind the back would be unfair and deceptive. And so we wanna make sure that you all are not being, unfairly, treated.
And I know how people feel. You pay the premiums and expect, if you have a loss to be claimed, to be paid, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Hey, good morning. My name's Kevin Frazier. I own Well Played Board Game Cafe, and I also head up Western Carolina University's campus here in South Asheville. And on this topic as well, one of the things that we're hearing from folks is they're being asked for pieces of information that we have no ability to provide. Things like, how did you lose power? Was it windstorm? You're going to have to document that. Well, I am not Duke Energy. And Jennifer may be doing their best at Duke Energy to help us out. But how do we, we're going to need help with that. The city actually came through with the water system and put together a clear letter about how all that happened. And I'll be honest, I'm anxious. My 12 o'clock is my insurance adjuster on my business continuation insurance. So I think that's one thing that I would add, that we're going to need some help with that, and we don't know where to go. And for you, Attorney General, I know one of the things that we're all anxious about today, the Assembly's going to meet, figure out if they're sending any money. The word is, it looks like it's going to go through the departments versus directly to the localities. And we're a bit, you may be aware that we're going to change governors here in a few weeks. And we're concerned that as we change administrations, that we can get lost in the shuffle in this, and would love to know how the outgoing administration and maybe an incoming administration would make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, Governor Cooper has been tireless. He's come out multiple times in each of the last 4 weeks, all over Western North Carolina, to get a full grasp of the extent of the damage, and it's breathtaking. I mean, what you all have experienced here in Asheville, you go to these other communities, you go to Ashe County, like the Virginia border, you go to the Georgia border. I mean, it's the entire region. It is truly overwhelming in scale. He is 100% committed to doing everything he can. I had a meeting with him last week. He said this is not how he saw his last 3 months going, but he is 100% up for the task because he knows what he signed up for. And, I'm right there. I'm right there. We will not forget.
Commissioner Causey, my name's Russ Towers. I own a retail business that was in the River Arts District that was completely decimated by the flood. The property owner had flood insurance on the building. We have flood insurance on our contents. My understanding from reading the information about the National Flood Insurance Program is the maximum payout is $500,000. That property is worth significantly more than that. Can you explain why there's a cap in that program, please?
Well, since that is a federal program, and we have no jurisdiction or say over the federal flood insurance. Now, insurance agents across the state can write policies through the NFIP, but I understand that's a little higher than what it used to be. And I know there's been discussions. Have you heard anything about the limits? I know there has been some talk with some of the congressional delegation about seeking to raise the limits, just like we had limits on our coastal insurance on the Joint Underwriters Association. The legislature controls that, so they passed laws to raise that. But, you know, can't really give you an answer as to why they set that specific dollar amount as a limit.
Hey, my name's Trevor Sparks. I actually have office space in Mojo, so it's great to not host, but see all y'all here. Thanks to the both of you and the councilwoman for attending. I just, proactive question, I think.
No,
Oh, for a live stream. I'm self-employed, but my question, especially to you, Mr. Commissioner, October 30th, can you give us a little idea about the agenda for your time in DC, who you're going to be meeting with at DOJ, and what you hope to get out of that?
It's the Treasury, United States Department of Treasury, and I don't know the agenda. They've not sent it to me. They just said they would like to have me there for 2 hours and to discuss Western North Carolina and insurance issues. So at this point, that's all I have unless they send me a specific agenda.
Hi, I'm Ever Hecht. I own a small business downtown, and you said something about like you're moving a bill through for $270 million to go. We're looking for how that's going to be allocated to help small businesses. Usually with these big allocations, smaller businesses aren't going to get played into that game, and we'd like to know how that's going to support us directly, whether or not it's going to help.
Yeah, at this point, it's a proposal on paper based on the experience that we all went through with COVID. The legislature obviously needs to be the one to appropriate the funds. So the details have not been written, which is why hearing from you, your concerns about making sure that it's accessible to small businesses is important, because those rules haven't been written. And we want to make sure that when whatever appropriation is made to support businesses getting back on their feet, that it's actually of use to you. Otherwise, it's not doing what we want it to do.
And I
Very
think a
good.
big part of this as well, and we can do a show of hands, is, you know, a lot of this is geared toward loss and lost property, and things that have been damaged. But what does it look like for those folks who we can't host tourists and things like that right now? Businesses are having trouble opening because you don't have potable loss and damages that are tangible. Is that your show of hands? Is that how you guys are feeling as well? Okay. One last question. Crisscross.
Hi, Adam Charnak, High Wire Brewing. Thank you both very much for being here. Thanks, Maggie, for speaking earlier. I just want to back up what I heard Katie and Kevin both say. A couple things. One is the utility. It's in the business interruption clause. I read the 300-page document. You need to have the, if you want utility interruption that happens off-site to cover your damages for your business and income, it needs to have the specific cause cited. Like you said, the city of Asheville's done a great job. Duke, I've emailed them, I've talked to them, so hopefully that'll be helpful. Just want to put that on your radar, that is something that's really important. What Katie was saying about the fine print. So we had a small clause added to the end of our policy that defines flood as including seepage coming through walls. We live in the mountains. Anybody who has a house who lives here knows that maintaining water, directing water is an art rather than a science at times. It's going to go wherever it wants to go. So seepage through walls happens and has happened for us in some of our buildings from a non-flood type problem, right? So just because we're on a slope, not because flood waters are rising. So I feel that will be sort of potentially a cause of contention with us and our insurance company as we work through this. So I want to put that on your radar as something that is a fine print in a policy that might be problematic, particularly here in the mountains. And then one other final question is just timeframes. This is, the process can take a long time. I understand that. All the insurance companies are doing everything they can to move things along quickly. But perhaps might consider there being some requirements, affirmative requirements from insurance companies to respond within certain timeframes might help perhaps move this process along in the future. So again, thank you so much for your work.
Yeah, thank you for those comments, and that's a good point. We'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, and I'll take that back to Duke Power. We talk to them all the time as well, so that's helpful to know. And yeah, we're grateful to you. We know this is just an absolutely awful time, and we're pulling for you, and we want to be there for you all, not only now, not only next month, but in the months to come. And for some places in Western North Carolina, it's going to be years to come, and we want to be there. So thank you.
We're actually going to take one. Oh, not that y'all.
Go ahead.
We're going to take one question from the live stream that came via real telephone. So we got it.
Landline, is it on? Landline upstairs. Oh, I got it. So I work at Mojo Co-working upstairs, and somebody just called. They're watching the live stream, and they said that they just got a text from somebody on the Senate floor that heard that they announced that the AVL Arts funding was coming out of the Senate bill, just live as we're happening. So they wanted clarification on whether or not anybody knew anything about that, or whether hopefully I'm even saying it right, Mr. Caller. But that was what they heard.
I haven't heard.
We just don't know what's going on the legislative floor. That would be very distressing if true.
Well, I want to thank Senator Julie Mayfield. She was the first one that reached out to me, and Kit with the chamber. They both got me up here, so thank you so much. I do want to say to everybody, remember, we have 20 major insurance companies, well, it may be 15 or 16, I don't know how many today, but right down the road in Arden, they have their claims, they have the people from the insurance companies here on the ground. If anybody has insurance and has a question and want to talk with somebody directly, that would be the place to go. They'll be there till 4 o'clock in the Lowe's parking lot in Arden. So thank you all for having us.
Thank you, Mike and Josh. We're so appreciative of both of you to be here. You're looking into faces of what makes Asheville so special. And we hope you take that back. We hope you take it to the Treasury. And if there's not an agenda for that 2 hours, it's like how many dollars can you put into that 2 hours? We'd be very appreciative. So with that, we're gonna move on, and this is the part where we're gonna just give updates for those who have them on the grants that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. And the first is Casey with the Chamber.
Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all. And again, I just want to thank Sherry and Hayden for having this opportunity. As Maggie said, it's really been an anchor for us to be able to come and meet with small business owners, be with the community every week, and to provide you some updates. And for those of you who have been here week after week, some of this may be a repeat, so just bear with me. But also, all the folks on live stream, just want to provide a few updates. A reminder that the Chamber of Commerce, which is on 36 Montford Avenue, has been acting as a business recovery center. All of our services there right now, including meeting with the SBA, Colton Groom Financial, Mountain BizWorks, Kudzu Brands, the SBTDC, and the Western Women's Business Center are all free. You do not have to be a chamber member. So please, if you want to come and get free help and get some consultation, we would love to see you there. So it is open to all. And also just a reminder, even though the SBA is pending funding right now, we are encouraging you to still apply for SBA funding. You do not have to take the loan, but still go through the application process. It's helpful for them, number one, to collect the data and see the need. And then when that funding is approved, if you do decide to take the loan, they're going to get that out the door ASAP. We are also hosting a FEMA ops site in our parking lot. So we've just been so grateful to be a physical resource to the community and to welcome everybody there. these are tough times, and even just coming by and seeing other business owners and having a little bit of camaraderie is really special. We also have an emergency workspace. So in partnership with Lenore Rhine, we have the entire second floor of the chamber. We can host up to 70 people a day. So if you have been displaced from your workplace or your office, or you just need a place to meet with someone, have a little bit of Wi-Fi, and flushing toilets now, which is exciting, no more porta potties, we really encourage you again to come by, use the free Wi-Fi, again, open to everyone. And then finally, we had announced the Mountain Strong Small Business Recovery Grant Fund. We're still working on the details, but we have put on the website, if you click through and follow Hurricane Helene resources and then Mountain Strong, you can enter your email address to be included on updates. So hoping that early next month, first week in November, we'll be able to share some updates, and I'll be here every week. So if you have any questions for me, cgilbert@ashevillechamber.org. Stop by the chamber and see me. Again, really glad to have you here to support small businesses. Whether you're a member or not, come on by and avail yourself of our services. Happy to be here and advocating for all of you as well. In Raleigh and DC, that's my role at the Chamber of Commerce as Vice President of Public Policy. So we hear you, we are advocating for you, and we will be standing beside you. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Vic?
Good morning, everyone. We are in travel and hospitality. I like that. Given our special guest this morning, I will not use expletives in my comments. But I just, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Mike, for making time for Western North Carolina. This is a very special part of this state. I grew up in Rockingham County on a tobacco farm, so I know about your bio. But thank you all for everything that you've been doing to pull forward for Western North Carolina. I've mentioned the grit and the gumption and determination of this community and this region, and it is just unrivaled. So appreciate that very much. Progress is being made slowly and surely and safely as it may be. Just on Saturday morning, working with Visit NC, which is the state's tourism office, and DOT, the travel advisory map for the entire state, Buncombe County turned from red to yellow, which means that we can accept guests and customers into our community to help sustain our local businesses, of which I know you are fighting very much to keep your workforce and your business doors open. And that is extremely hard to do without potable water for our brewers, for our hotels, and for our restaurants. So many of you are spending, for restaurants, $800 a day minimum for potable water to have your doors open. Hotels to house emergency workers, $50,000 a week for a water tanker truck. That is just not sustainable for our community. And I know that there are people working round the clock on our water treatment system to get that going, but we just cannot impress upon it enough how vital that is for our community. So with many of our partners around the community, we stood up the Love Asheville from Afar webpage, and we have more than 500 area businesses that are a part of that, and we are hearing from folks that are a part of that program that you are getting online sales. But we want business doors to be open here for people to walk through as well. This is a region, so Western North Carolina, we all are in this together, and so part of that is working with our colleagues as destination marketing organizations or the tourism development authorities around the region. That work, dev work that our team did to stand up the Love Asheville from Afar, we are giving to all of our tourism development authorities in the region for them to be able to replicate. In terms of grants, we know that we need lots of grants, not loans, for our community. And so we started the Always Asheville Fund, as you all know. We seeded that with $300,000 from earned revenue. That now stands, as of this morning, at $685,000. We plan to stand up that grant program and have that application open next Friday. so that that money, we know is a gesture to this community and this creative community, and we want it out to be able to help sustain businesses, and we need a lot more. There are lots of folks who've been educating and urging for small business grants. I'm understanding what's on the floor right now are loans. So that's unfortunate for where we are right now, but we're hopeful that that will morph. Our colleagues at Visit NC, which is the state tourism office, has $5 million in the bill on the floor, and will help us in making sure that we can tell the word about all of the region, and places like Brevard and Waynesville that are open and have potable water, that they can help be the heart and the blood that pumps the blood through the system of our region. So we just need to all work together and think about the triage that we're in right now, what we can do medium and what we can do long-term. So the legislature is, on the floor today. I do understand they'll be on the floor 3 more times before the end of this calendar year, so there is hope beyond today. So I want to give that hope to you all. And then also working with our colleagues at the U.S. Travel Association, advocating for us here in North Carolina all the way down to Florida when Congress comes back in session in D.C. On November 12th to advocate strongly for a disaster appropriations bill that will unlock more dollars for our municipal partners and unlock business grants through HUD and EDA. And so we're just really trying to track each of those programs and also share good news when it's coming. And for that, I'm just going to go right to Susan Mims, my friend from the Dogwood Health Trust. Susan?
Thank you all, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Like so many of you, my family has been directly impacted. I have a son who's a first responder in Fairview, and I know the stories that we're hearing, and they're horrific, and they're marvelous. When I see people helping neighbors, and strangers alike, and the way people are coming together. And I appreciate, Vic, that you talked about the grit and the resilience of our communities, and I see that, and it gives me hope. So I appreciate being here, having the opportunity to hear your stories and better understand. I have the privilege to serve as the CEO of the Dogwood Health Trust, which is a private foundation who we focus on the health, improving the health and well-being of all people and communities in Western North Carolina. And I was very, very heartened that our board stepped in this moment to quickly, within a week, approve $30 million that our team worked to get out by 2 weeks into the community for relief efforts. And that is just the beginning. As Dogwood, our dollars, obviously, and what we can do can't solve this. We need all the partners. And we look for, in philanthropy, we look for the places where we can come in and partner synergistically with whatever else is going on and to fill gaps. We have some flexibility and want to be able to use that to meet the needs. Our first tranche of recovery effort was focused on immediate needs. And now our board recently approved, and we will be announcing this soon, a second round of relief. And we know part of what we do is focus on economic opportunity. That is part of what leads to health and well-being for our region and community health. And we know that small businesses are the heart of our region. And so we have been working with Appalachian Community Capital. They did a quick estimate for us of the number thousands of businesses that are impacted. And they are, just if you aren't familiar with them, Community Development Financial Institution, or a CDFI, that works in the Appalachian region. They work through other CDFIs and they work to support the CDFIs, all 6 that actually do lending in our region. And they also are positioned to attract capital. I know people mention, we get calls, what can we do for Western North Carolina? And so we're thinking about how do we offer, things where people can do something for Western North Carolina right now. And so working with Appalachian Community Capital, we are putting together a program to provide immediate $25,000 grants to small businesses. And these will be businesses that have, we know, we've heard you, grants are needed. This is a start, and it won't be everything that's needed, but it is for businesses that have been physically impacted. It will focus and prioritize businesses, very small businesses with revenues under $1 million. And at the same time, since we know this won't meet all the needs, we are going to continue to work with ACC on a pool of low-cost loan capital and consider what other things we can do to get relief to small businesses in Western North Carolina. Dogwood will be making a lead gift that we will announce very soon to this fund, and we will be working to attract that national capital to this region. Like I said, it is, there's never enough, and it always feels like we want to do it more and more. And we know that it does take all of us. And a huge thanks to our partners from Raleigh who are here. And we know that we need to be here for the long term. And Dogwood is a funder that funds solely in Western North Carolina. We'll be here to play whatever role we can, not only in the relief time, but in the recovery and the rebuilding for resilience. And I come back to what we've seen in the resilience of our people, and I know that we can do this together. And I appreciate the opportunity and the part that we can play, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan and Vic and Casey. So appreciative for all of you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Hayden, who is going to be talking about the Downtown Association. And thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry, Councilwoman Ullman, of course, our Insurance Commissioner and Attorney General Stein, and all the partners that help to get the word out about these meetings. We're happy to see all of your faces week after week and hope that we can continue to provide updates. And we want to hear from you all on what you'd like to hear about next, what would be a good topic for next week, or if this is still of value to you. So please let me or Sherry know what you want to hear about next. I think did I switch it? Okay. So a little bit of an update on downtown activities. Understanding again that everyone's experience has been so vastly different in our community. But as the Downtown Association, a lot of our buildings were not physically damaged, but we have to care for the livelihoods of, our 90+% of independently and locally owned businesses and their employees. And so we're really encouraging folks to come back to downtown Asheville, locals, regional guests, those folks who are able to come into Buncombe County. This Saturday, Sherry, do I just hit the button?
There's an arrow button right here.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, there we go. This Saturday, we're bringing back Doors Open Downtown. I feel like that was a really successful program. This past Saturday, we gave out, more than 200 balloons to folks. And the balloons, the orange balloon or any balloon that you're able to put in front of your space indicate to the public that you are open. We've been working with our partners at the Asheville Media Group and WLOS to encourage folks in Asheville to come out and come downtown, think about the holiday season, and go ahead and purchase those gifts early and take care of our small businesses while you're at it. I saw a lot of people out in downtown. It was really fun. It felt almost normal, except for that we were missing one of the core parts of our community, and that was our restaurants. That was hard to see. Thursday, October 31st, it's Halloween. Yay! So we have some updates for the Halloween block party. I have a lot of questions, and I figured this is a great time to answer them. So the Halloween block party is happening all over downtown. We are not closing any streets. It's going to be kind of a sidewalk festival, and we're encouraging each of our businesses to, just activate their space. Put a table outside of your business, hand out candy. We have received a generous donation from Mars Inc., and more than 35,000 pieces of candy is sitting at Bear's Barbecue right now.
We're headed there next.
No, don't rush them all at once. But we are working with Bears to find some times that you're going to be able to stop by, pick up a couple bags of candy so you don't have to make that expense to participate in this program. So watch our Instagram at AVL Downtown for more information on when to pick up that candy. That's the amount of math that Cheryl at Bears and I were doing to figure out what that looks like is a lot. We are also going to have balloons both this Saturday available at Horse and Hero on Patton Avenue from 10 a.m. to 12 while supplies last. And then on Wednesday, we'll have balloons available as well from 2 to 4 at Horse and Hero. Trick-or-treating is open to everybody. We really encourage, if you know families, if you know people with children, ask them to come downtown for Halloween, because I think our businesses are going to really show up for our kids this season. There are a lot of activations going on. So Rabbit Rabbit is hosting movies, Hotel Transylvania at Rabbit Rabbit on Halloween. There's going to be a pet costume contest sponsored by Patton Avenue Pet in the Spicer Green parking lot, which is going to be super fun. The Asheville Museum of Science is doing a spooky activation outside of their building. Ananda Hair Studio is going to have fairy hair and braids for the kids. So downtown is really going to show up for our kids, and we hope that region-wide, citywide, countywide, the families will come downtown and see how safe and beautiful and clean and vibrant this place is, like we all know it to be. Did I get all of those? Perfect. Okay. I didn't give Sherry a slide, but I do want to give you all an update on winter in downtown. The Downtown Association was already working to bring a really vibrant winter in downtown program. So we got funding through great partners like Explore Asheville, the Trina Mullen Foundation, Jim Samsel, the Biltmore, Grove Arcade Public Market Foundation to bring holiday lights to our community. This was before all of this happened. And so we're going to have holiday lights in Pritchard Park and in Pack Square. At the very least, we're encouraging businesses to put up some warm white lights to kind of continue the continuity throughout downtown. But we're also going to bring back the Winter Windows competition, and the theme is Winter Wonderland. We hope that all of you will participate. You can sign up on the Downtown Association website so we can just track who's participating and get you a QR code to let folks know that you're a part of the program. Folks can scan that and vote on their favorite window in town, and we'll have some prizes. Also, I announced early that the holiday parade is pivoting to a jamboree, but now we have way more information. So November 23rd, we are bringing the holiday jamboree to Pack Square. It's going to take up all 3 levels, marketplace vendors, food trucks, pop-up bars, you name it, and we're inviting all those folks who performed in the parade or had a float in the parade to continue their participation. We're going to have performances all day long. Bojangles is the presenting sponsor of this event. We're super excited to be able to continue this and really treat it, as Councilman Ullman said, as a Thanksgiving parade for all of the volunteers, all of the first responders, our city leaders, and each of you that have worked so hard. General Stein had such a great quote that I want to say it again, if I can find it. I wrote it down. We exemplified the best of what it means to be a North Carolinian, and I think that's just so special. And being a transplant myself just feels really nice to be a part of this community, and I think that's hopefully what the next few months of our season are going to look like as well. Let's see, I think that's all I had. Any questions? We have orange balloons here for you today. They're not filled with helium, but you're welcome to take some. Otherwise, you can pick yours up at Horse and Hero. Oh, yes, and we got a recommendation that after each of these that we should have counselors available, and I don't disagree. So All Souls Counseling is here. Stop by and speak with them. They have a couple locations across town. You know, our mental health, each of us has gone through our own traumatic events here in North Carolina, and everything that we're doing for our communities and for our employees, that takes a toll. And so we want to make sure that you guys stay connected to the mental health resources that are available. So today it's All Souls Counseling, and they can speak to you a little bit more about what they can offer for you and your team members through this time. Thank you for the reminder, Sherry. And thank you again to Mojo Co-working and all of our guests today. We really appreciate you being here. Find me, find Sherry, let us know what you want to hear about next, and thank you for being here. Have a good day.